Louis, welcome to the Family Business Show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So I've known you guys for a couple of years now. You've got a wonderful family business. So why don't you tell us all about Essential Embroidery Design, how it all got started, and your involvement as the next generation.
Okay, so Essential Embroidery Design is a manufacturing business. We supply branded promotional and workwear clothing to various clients. We work with some of the biggest brands in the world, right down to everyday businesses through our various divisions. The company started about, I think it was 22 years ago. It was 1998. It was started by my dad. He had a belt factory with his brother that they used to supply belts to the fashion industry, and this was in the 80s. And he always says that in the 90s, belts went out of fashion, and within a year or two, the business went under, and he had 2 kids to support at the time and needed to do something. So he basically bought a failing company that had an embroidery machine, a very small company. It was essentially, he just bought the assets, and from there, Essential Embroidery Design was born. And it started with him working long nights, him and an embroidery machine. I know he taught himself how to use the software, how to digitize a logo. Something that my mum has kept to this day that we still have at our warehouse is he had a sleeping bag that he used to sleep at the office because there wasn't enough time to come home. And over time, things built up. We gained clients, we gained a reputation that then started to grow, and we're still growing today, and every year we get a little bit better. And so that's what we're trying
amazing.
to do.
I mean, and hats off to your dad, because I doubt there's any entrepreneur or business owner out there that hasn't been rock bottom or lost a business or thought, what on earth am I going to do? But I guess the difference is he did do something, he picked himself up, didn't he? And that's amazing. So what does the business look like now in terms of size, number of staff, your types of clients?
Okay, so we number of staff, we have about 40 team members currently. We're operating out of a warehouse and office of about 20,000 square foot. And we have 2 kind of divisions of our business. So we have one focuses on the promotional merchandise market. And so this is servicing large corporate brands, creating their merchandise. So any sort of clothing that you think of that has a company logo, either embroidered on it, or we print, we do things like embossing and special laser etching. We supply that to businesses for their merchandising. That is the core side of the business. That is the market we've been in for from the beginning for 20 years, where we have a very good reputation. The second side of the business that we started about 2 years ago focuses on the workwear market. So the workwear and PPE. And this targets businesses with things like their uniforms, high visibility clothing. We do well in a lot of manufacturing businesses, supplying all of their PPE, like special gloves, protective gloves when people are working on machines. Um, this side as well, which is something that we've gone into the past couple of years, we started an e-commerce website. So that is essentialworkwear.com. Anyone from the general public can go on there and say, add 10 polo shirts and upload your logo, and we would receive that and we can place those orders. I've also set something up. Anyone that's watching this, if you use the code family15, can get 15% off on that website. So yeah, those are the two distinct divisions that we have today. I know in there, I mentioned on the workwear side that we did PPE. That is something we've been doing for the past couple of years now, which obviously from about 6 months ago has really taken off. And that has been very busy, and obviously we've it's been great. During the crisis, we supplied a lot of PPE to the NHS and other businesses, key businesses that needed it at the time. And it's a very small thing, but we're kind of proud that during the crisis, through business, we were able to help in some way. So yeah, that's a quick background.
It's no small thing at all. You know, it's phenomenal that businesses have been able to step up and sort of be part of the battle against coronavirus, I guess. So let's rewind then, because you've obviously got a phenomenal business now, and that's really exciting and great to see another generation sort of in the business. So tell me about your journey, because I bet there will be loads of next generation out there who probably I'm guessing here, like you and I, who have packed boxes in our summer holidays and have been, you know, in the warehouse. And so why don't you tell me about your journey into the family business? Was it a conversation you had? Did your dad ask you to come in? Did you feel like a sense of responsibility, like you had to? How did it feel for you?
So I never had any like responsibility, or never was pressured or anything like that. It's funny that you say like packing boxes, because I have from as far back as I can remember, spent summer holidays in the factory just packing and helping out in any way that I could. I'm not sure if I was that much of a help looking back at it, but I earned a bit of pocket money, and I think my parents thought it would teach me some discipline. So I then went through schooling, I went to university. I've always been a numbers and a business driven person. And I had always thought that I would go into the finance industry. Whilst at university, I did an internship and kind of realized that really wasn't for me. Still at this point, I had no intention to join the business. So I had finished university, and then I moved to Canada for 2 years, and I lived over there, which was one of the best things I've ever done in my life. I moved over, I didn't know anyone at the time, and I just kind of had to figure it out and make friends and make a social life and find a job. And I did that, and 2 years passed. And it was kind of at that point where I had worked in other companies and worked for other people, and I knew that, and I'd always been interested in business, like I said. I wanted to be able to, I knew if I would go back to our business, it would almost be like a fast tracked. I was passionate about it, and I also knew my dad and I get on very well as my mum and my sister also work in the business. I would be given a lot of responsibility very quickly, and that challenge and that ability to make an impact quickly and start to put my own twist on things, or bring my own ideas, and then see those ideas through and execute on those ideas. I wanted that, and yeah, that's been about 2 years now that I joined full time. It's crazy. 2 years isn't very long, but then I think the amount that has happened within 2 years is so much. And where we'll be in 5 years' time, I don't know. But what I like to say is we keep taking little steps forward every day. So in 5 years, we'll probably go pretty far.
Amazing. I've no doubt you will, but I don't think anyone can predict 5 years' time at the moment, can they? So I want to ask you, because there'll be loads of people out there, particularly parents, who are thinking, I would love for my kids to come into the family business, but I don't want to lay that on them. I don't want them to feel obliged to do that. So I want to let them find their own way, or, you know, go and work somewhere else first. So do you know how your parents felt about you and your sister coming into the business? Were they concerned? Did you sit down and lay some ground rules? I think there's so many things that are unsaid in a family, aren't there? No matter how close you are as a family, you don't want to hurt each other's feelings.
Yeah.
So do you have an insight into how your parents felt about it?
I certainly know that my dad was concerned in some respects, because I don't think he thinks we were tough enough. I think he thinks that we had a much better upbringing than he did. And so we were kind of like the spoiled, privileged kids that he wasn't. And he doesn't, has constantly been warning us that it is not always all good. And although when I joined 2 years ago, things were good and everything was going right, what has really shown over the past 6 months is how quickly that can change, and how everything then comes to you as the leaders. It's then your responsibility to sort things out when things go wrong, and it's your responsibility to make the hard decisions, and the decisions that no one else wants to make. And I knew that was a concern of theirs. They know from my mum and dad are a pretty good team. They've built the business together. They know from experience that a lot of weight rests on your shoulders when you're running a business. And they, yeah, that's a concern. But then they also know that I'm a very ambitious person, and that the weight with the concerns that come with it also comes opportunity. So to have the opportunity, you also have to have the risks of the downsides, and that's the trade-off we took. And
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the trade-off any business owner takes when they decide not to go and get a job and work for someone else, but to carve their own path, really. So what are your roles at the moment? So your mum and your dad, you and your sister, how is it defined at the moment?
My dad is the leader of the business. He's the managing director. My mum now, she works part-time. She has done for a few years now, but she still looks after all of our HR. My sister is the artwork manager. She oversees the team of providing proofs for customers, laying out logos on a garment for clients to oversee that, to approve that. And then also like our design team, she oversees that. I am split. I have both a hand in production. So specifically in our screen print team. So I'm overseeing the screen print team and developing the people in the screen print team, and then also learning the production myself, because I think it's very important to know that we are a manufacturing business at the end of the day, know the ins and outs of how we produce our products. Um, on, on on the side of that, I also oversee all of our marketing and our websites. So I mentioned before, we started an e-commerce website. That's a project that I have overseen from the beginning. We didn't have any exposure to online selling before I joined. I've overseen the development of our e-commerce website and then the building of that. One other project that I oversee is our software development. We believe very strongly in the power of technology to increase our efficiencies and make us a better business. And I oversee, we have a bespoke application that we use to run our operations. And it is me, along with another one of our directors, that oversees the development of that. And that's a project I really enjoy, because it's something that you get to build yourself. I really enjoy building things, taking something from nothing and then creating it into something over time. So that's kind of a rundown of the family and a little bit about our roles and what we do.
Brilliant, thank you. So you talked there about your new e-commerce site, and I think the great advantage that family businesses have is there's a next generation there who are far more digital marketing, e-commerce savvy than perhaps their parents, and actually can take that burden off their parents, who might be like terrified of anything digital. So that's amazing to hear. So on that vein then, can we talk about your resilience as a business, because no doubt having an e-commerce presence has affected how well you've weathered this storm as well. So can we just talk about your resilience as a business? Because obviously it's been horrific for all businesses out there, even the ones that are thriving, their supply chains are still struggling. So how has that been for you over the last 6 months as a family and as a business?
It's been challenging. There's no doubt about that. But what we have done is we are a relatively, I'd say, a smaller to medium sized business. Like, we don't have hundreds of employees, and what that has allowed us to do is to be very nimble. We've been able to restructure and refocus our strategy and direction very quickly. So a lot of what we do in our core business services the events industry. If an event is going on, or a lot of what we do is maybe linked to sport. We might do merchandise for a big sporting event, or there's a big exhibition and people want jackets for it, or something like that. Obviously, all of that has completely dried up, and in March, it dried up very quickly. We went from February on an upwards trend to March just down to almost nothing. So what we did is, at that same time as the events industry plummeted, the PPE industry shot up, and because we are a smaller, especially at the upper level management team, a relatively smaller and close group, we were able to shift our focus and put our focus where the demand was. We had the PPE industry has been difficult over the past 6 months, because like as the demand has shot up, a lot of, how do I say this nicely, not very good or well-intentioned suppliers have also flooded into the market, and they have made it difficult for a supplier like us, who is BSIF registered, which is the British Safety Institute Foundation, and has been doing it for a couple of years. That newer competition, who might not be ticking all of the correct boxes and supplying the right certified PPE, has made it difficult. But with some of the supply chains that we already had in place, we were able to capitalize on that well. And then going forward, that was when the crisis first hit. So say like March, April, falling into May a bit. As things have settled down now, our core business has started to return, and we reforecasted all of our budgets, restructured as we needed to, and put a plan in place for the next 12 months. And we were hitting those targets, and which is really promising. And they are downgraded targets than they were before, but they're targets that we felt we could still be a viable business and a profitable business. But we're also realistic given the market conditions. And what is great is the past 2 or 3 months, we have been hitting and sometimes exceeding our targets. The only problem now is it's really month by month. We have no confidence. We can't say for sure that that's going to carry on next month, and that's just the situation we're in. It's the situation everybody is in, and that uncertainty it keeps you on your toes, and you've got to keep doing the best you can do, delighting your clients, keeping them happy, and thinking of new products, new way of doing things, increasing your efficiencies, anything and everything. You got to stay off on it, because if you don't, there'll be someone else that picks up the pieces. That's for sure.
And it certainly is keeping everyone on their toes. You hit the nail on the head there. And I think going back to what you said previously about being nimble, because you are a relatively small family business and you can make decisions today and make them happen tomorrow. So, business now looks very different to when your dad was starting out with his brother doing the belts. And then when he started this business 20 odd years ago, it's a very different type of business, probably requires a very different type of leadership. So how do you feel in yourself about leadership, what's important, what you want your business to look like, as that next generation? What's important to you?
So especially the last 12 months that I've been in the business, and when I took more of a leading role in production, I've had the amount of people that report directly to me has increased a lot. Whereas maybe for my first year in the business, I didn't have people directly reporting to me. I now run and lead certain departments in the business, and so that's been, you certainly get the sense of responsibility. I've been interviewing, and it's been building. My dad says it's me building my team now. They're people that I've brought onto the business, and I've interviewed them. It's been my decision out of the interviews of who to pick. And so that's been a big learning curve. And one thing that I have been very insistent and very consistent at doing is ensuring that I give the people in my team one-to-ones and development sessions. So when someone, give them firstly clear boundaries of what I expect. When someone first joins, say this is your 3 months probation period, and then at the end of 3 months we will have a talk about how that has gone, what has gone well, what can be improved. But then making sure that when that 3 months comes, I make sure that that meeting happens, because something that I had when I worked somewhere else was my manager there would say, Louis, we're going to have our development session. And then that session comes up and they say, oh, sorry, something else has come up. We're going to delay it, or it's going to be pushed back. And if you put yourself in the employee's shoes like that, it really doesn't make you feel very important. And so that's something that I've made sure I've stuck to. And it works both ways, because I've been building this team, or leading this team for a year now, and I feel such a strong trust in the people in my team that we've, over the past year, not only have I learned and grown and developed, but they have also learned, grown and developed. And it's gotten to a point where now I am one of the people in that team. They've got a target for the next 3 months to move up and become a supervisor and to take more responsibility on, which then takes things off of my plate, so then I can then focus on other things. And it's that that scalability in people that and building a team that I've enjoyed and I try and put in place.
Brilliant, and really nice to hear, because at the moment I think there's always something else to do, isn't there? And quite frankly, the people you've got in your team now, if they're brilliant, you need to keep hold of them. So that's really great to hear. And what do you draw on as a leader? So at the moment you're leading a department, eventually maybe you might be leading the business. So what do you draw on for your own sort of mental strength, inspiration, motivation? What do you do as an individual?
I like to read. I also I'm interested in, I've said it a few times, but I've always been interested in business and big business leaders. So someone who sometimes gets a lot of bad press, but I really like, is Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon. And what he is, like him or not, you can't deny that over the past 30 years, what he has created is pretty incredible. To think that Amazon didn't exist 30 years ago, and today it is one of the biggest companies in the world, and the efficiency and that they run that business with. I've watched a lot of, say, like talks with business leaders like that. So and yeah, that I try and take from those and learn from those experiences, watching talks on YouTube or reading books, and take from that and apply it. Something I also used to really enjoy doing before lockdown happened was I would always try and go to different meetups and different presentations and talk to people and put myself out there, just say hello to someone, because you never know where that relationship might go. And learn from other people like that.
Absolutely. So let's talk about then your aspirations. Let's talk about the future. Has there been a conversation around your parents stepping back and you and your sister stepping up, or You know, what do you want, and what do your family want the future to look like?
Um, so yes, that there has been those conversations. My dad would certainly like to step back, and I make no um, reservations of the fact that I would like to take over. And I do joke about it with him and tell him I'm going to retire him. However, I also know in myself, I'm not ready for that currently. I think that I still have a lot of learning to do and a lot of experience to gain. And as much as my dad says that he would like to step back, um, and as much as stressed as he can get sometimes, and as difficult as it can get sometimes, he is also, after 23 years, still extremely passionate, and he still goes in every day, and one always is in early, and is always on his A game. So let's, yeah, that is in the works, but it will take time, and I've still got a lot to learn. I'm sure my sister, we will be in the business for a while, and she has got more of a leadership role as well. So yes, my mum and dad will be stepping back, but I think all four of us will be involved in some form of another for until until my parents aren't with us anymore, because I can't imagine them not being involved. If the business still exists, they will want to be involved in some form of another, if it's only one day a week or something. But yeah, that's probably how it will go.
And the important thing there, which is so key, and for lots of people out there, is that you're keeping those lines of communication open. You've spoken about it, you talk about it. It's not sort of hidden behind closed doors. It's not an elephant in the room. It's very often succession can be, because the older generation don't know what the younger generation want, and the younger generation don't know what the older generation want. And it can become, you know, it's a really difficult thing. But the important thing, I guess, with you guys is that you talked about it. It's very open, it's very transparent, and mark my words, your dad will never ever 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 retire. This
Yeah.
whole concept of stepping back does not exist in a family business, because like you rightly said, you know, this is his baby. He, you know, literally his blood, sweat and tears, had to put food on the table and a roof over your head. And that passion and that, you know, entrepreneurship and enthusiasm will never ever leave. And that's why he's so brilliant, and that's why, you know, you and your sister even wanted to join the business. So
Yeah.
but I think, you know, one of the biggest hurdles for any family business is succession and communication. So it's great to hear that you're all very open and transparent about that. So that's fantastic.
I'm, like I said, I'm very open with it and very clear about it. When I feel ready in myself, and like I think that is there, I'll be open and I'll be saying, like, you've said you always want to step back and you're doing too much. Like, I think I'm at that point now. So, and I probably will say that before I am actually ready, just because of the person that I know that I am. But with anything in life, you have to do things, I think, just before you are actually ready, because you will never be ready until you actually just take the plunge and do it. And yeah, that's how I think it will go. But then there's also there's other people in the business, and it's I want our business to be a meritocracy, and just because my surname is Georgiou isn't a rite of passage, and I want to be the leader, but a leader can only lead if the people that he leads respects them. And so I've got to make sure that everyone else in the business thinks that I would be the best person for the job as well. There's competition. There's other people, and at the end of the day, we will do what's right for the business, not just what suits our egos. That's the culture we want to have at Essential, and yeah, that's the culture we try and bring. Everyone's got to be on their A game.
You give me an idea for a show. We should have the X Factor of family business. Who is the next successor? Okay, Louis. So before we wrap up, one last shameless plug for Essential Embroidery Design. What can we do as an audience of fellow family businesses to help your business and to ensure that you are still here in 12 months, 5 years, 10 years time? And remind us of that website and that lovely free discounted code.
So you can go to www.essentialworkwear.com. If you use the code family15, it will give you 15% off your first order. We have what is really topical right now is we have a range of COVID PPE, so face masks. We have both medical grade face masks as well as cotton reusable face masks. They can even be printed with your logo. Hand sanitizers, all of the normal COVID PPE. But apart from that, we also have a range of clothing that can be bought on the website. And if you are the type of business that needs regular clothing, you're not the type of business that might buy it every now and then, but needing a constant servicing, we also have set up on the website specific order portals so that your team can go on and order uniform specifically for different team members. And we have different functions where there are certain allowances for employees. So say an employee gets 5 polo shirts every 6 months, that can be set up and all controlled through our portal. So we've got something to cater for all levels and sizes of business. And if anyone needs any help, they can email me, which is louis@essentialworkwear.com. And yeah, that would be, if anyone needs anything like that, that would be fantastic.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. And thank you, for setting up that discounted code as well. So, I will certainly be, shouting about you from the rooftops for any family business where, your brand is so important now more than ever. Because like you say, you put it very politely, but there are cowboys in every industry trying to muscle in on what you and your family have been building over the years and years. So your brand is so important, and the stuff you design and create and manufacture is just beautiful, fantastic quality. So any family businesses out there that are looking for new uniform, new workwear, branded PPE, go to Louis. So Louis, thank you so much for your time today and for being on the Family Business Show. You've been amazing.
Thank you, Amelia. Hopefully we can get back to doing something in person at some point. But yeah, this has been great.
Lovely to see you, Louis. Take care.
See ya.